Good afternoon. My name is Zeb Shippee, and I am here today to present a plan for improving fair distribution and new meddling. This is part of an overall plan to improve the sustainability of the city. I have divided my proposal into three parts, purposes A, B, and C. Purpose A is to use tax incentives to encourage businesses to run in a more sustainable and socially conscious manner. We can start with a middle ground where a company's policies result in neither tax credits nor penalties. For now, this middle ground could be the way companies are operated now. Over time, we can shift this neutral line in a more sustainable direction. This means that sustainable practices, such as powering factories with solar energy or creating products from recycled materials, will be rewarded with tax credits. Additionally, companies that create jobs and give employee benefits will receive tax credits. Examples of rewarded benefits include medical insurance, on-site childcare, and bonuses to employees for helping the company become more sustainable. The primary reason that companies tend to operate counter to these principles is that it is cheaper in the short run. By granting tax cuts for these behaviors, there is no longer any financial motive for unsustainable practices. By the same token, I propose that we impose tax penalties for unsustainable and societally insensitive practices. Companies that increase pollution and or decrease jobs and benefits would be expected to pay an additional tax equal to a percentage of the cost of the damage done or the salaries and benefits not paid. I don't know exactly what this percentage should be. All I know is that if it's too high, businesses will leave and the economy will suffer. If it is too low, then it's not going to act as a deterrent for undesirable behavior, and more pressure will be put on the government and other businesses to make up for this. Purpose B of my plan is to use tax incentives to encourage community-friendly behavior. My proposal is that we grant reductions in taxes to people for hours invested in community service or financial contributions to local programs. Examples include managing or working in a community garden, hosting a charity event, and assisting the elderly and disabled with home maintenance. Those who earn too little to pay taxes can instead be rewarded with additional financial support. This would allow those who need funding from the government to give back to the community at large. In addition to financially and physically helping the community, this would improve psychological health by giving people a sense of value and connection to the people around them. Those with certain disabilities would be able to contribute within their personal abilities. Those who are paralyzed could still teach. Those who have limited communication ability could still perform physical tasks, etc. Obviously, people with severe conditions will be given accommodations. Purpose C of my solution is to use tax incentives to encourage individuals to adopt a more sustainable lifestyle. Individuals who adopt a sustainable lifestyle could be rewarded with tax credits. Examples of rewarded choices include using mass transit or bicycling, using energy-efficient appliances, equipping one's home with renewable energy sources, recycling, reducing overall energy use, etc. Conversely, citizens would incur additional taxes for unsustainable behaviors such as littering, driving gas-powered vehicles, especially gas guzzlers like Hummers, using excessive amounts of metered or non-independent electricity, contributing excessively to landfills, and so on. Just as with businesses, these extra tax dollars could be used to help repair the damage done by these environmentally unfriendly practices, as well as act as a deterrent. Obviously, there will be opposition to these changes. First, there are people who believe it is their moral or religious duty to consume all the resources available to them and to have as many children as possible. They will argue that these policies are abridging their rights to engage in these behaviors and to practice their religion. Others will simply consider us lacking in faith or overreacting to environmental issues. To counter this, we can argue that since we are not actually prohibiting these actions, we are not abridging any right. We are simply making people pay the true price of their actions. Those who believe this is an overreaction can, well, leave. Another challenge we will face is the fact that there are people who are simply greedy and believe they are entitled to whatever they can gain access to. These people will argue that they worked hard for their wealth and should not be penalized for it. They may also resent the idea of their money going to help people who are lazy or, in their eyes, unimportant. In response, we can point out that they are still able to reach for whatever they want. They just have to cover the costs of their choices, meaning these policies are not anti-wealth. They are simply asking that the full cost of a practice or object be fully covered by the person responsible. In other words, rich people can still be rich, they just need to take responsibility for any damaging choices they make. We can also argue that with these policies, people who cannot contribute to the community financially are able to contribute through work instead. This gives everyone, regardless of their income, the opportunity to feel like a part of the community, which would counter the argument that the poor only take and don't earn the benefits the taxes of the rich help pay for. Lastly, there are people with fixed stereotypes regarding certain sustainable practices. They believe, for example, that the presence of wind turbines increases the occurrence of seizures and that they desecrate the aesthetics of the landscape. Our first line of defense to this kind of thinking is education. Helping people understand the benefits of these practices and the cost of unsustainable practices may convince them to accept at least some types of sustainable energy and technology. Education can also empower those who are in favor of or on the fence about sustainable changes to overcome the arguments of committed antis. Secondly, we can use a mix of renewable energy sources and locate them in different sections of new meddling. For example, if someone is afraid of getting seizures from a nearby wind turbine, they can move to the section that uses microhydroelectric energy. Thank you for your time. Please contact me with any questions.